Eurovision's national final season is over, and to be honest, this year it felt like we blinked and it was gone. Over the last few months, more than 20 countries have selected their songs from publicly held national selections, and hundreds of different artists and different songs were competing in those. Most of them didn't make it, and our focus will now slowly but surely shift to May. Before we do that though, there is just time to take one more look and pay tribute to the 10 best that we won't be seeing in Vienna in May, so that's what we're going to do today. Before we get into this, I should straight away say that this is my personal opinion, and therefore I'm sure everyone watching this will strongly disagree with at least one of my choices. It is impossible to do this objectively after all. That said, I will try to give reasoning for each one. I'll also throw in a 2026 disaster bot, honourable mentions / Hall of Fame for good measure. I'll quickly say as well that if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. You can check out all of my socials in the description for more if you wish to. Now there is plenty to get through today, so let's get straight in with number 10. That's Ollie with his song Slave. Is it just like the blood, but it's masking all of the things that you do make me. Ollie has now attempted to get to Eurovision on 3 separate occasions and has always been the bridesmaid rather than the bride. He came 3rd this time in Estonia after previously finishing 2nd twice. This time though, he was arguably closer to winning, such was how tight the voting was in the final round. Sadly, nothing was able to stop Vanilla Ninja. That said, if it weren't for the fact that this selection had an unnecessary super final, Ollie would have won the whole thing, and Estonia would likely be sailing through to the Eurovision final. The main criticism that has been levelled at Ollie is that his entries have been kind of similar, and this is justified to an extent. But what he does have is a formula that's really effective. And that's why he's still just about managed to cling on to a place in this list. Yes, the song was similar to his previous 2. But to be honest, this was my personal favourite of all 3, and it was the one that felt the best executed. Ollie's metalcore-ish, pop-punkish sound just really works for me. It's accessible in a genre that doesn't always have that going for it, and it does something I wish we saw more of in Eurovision. That is, have a full-on, full-blooded drop that hits you like an 18-wheeler. I genuinely think the potential for this at Eurovision would have been massive. It's not a matter for debate that this would have done better than the selected entry will. I think most people who followed national final season this year would agree with that assessment. But I really think that this could have ended up stealing a lot of people's nachos and ended up in the low-teen placements in the final. Criticism of the performance he gave at the Estonian national selection is justified, but the production for that whole show just wasn't up to scratch this year. And this was especially keenly felt in songs that were up-tempo and required lots of energy. To be honest, I thought he made the best of a not sensational setup around him, and he clearly spent a lot of money on that staircase that was burning in the back, so good for him. 10th place is justified for this year, but if he did return with something similar again, I'm not sure he'd make this list. In any case, I hope he innovates somehow and then finally makes it to Eurovision. It would be so deserved. Now it's on to 9th, and that's Ericka Jane with her song Death of Me. The fact that a Danish song is on this list is not lost on me in terms of its significance. Denmark took a really big step with its national selection this year, and I would have been delighted with this song as a winner as well. Ericka can't say the same as Ollie in terms of being better than the actual Eurovision entry, because while I do feel this would have qualified for the final, I don't think it would be a winning contender as Søren is now, but that doesn't mean that this isn't so fun and so deserving of a place in this list. We talked about this very recently in my video about the Danish national selection, and I'm not going to go into this majorly in depth this time as a result. But I do just once again want to voice my appreciation for how gloriously camp this is, how full of life and joy it is, and the contrast between Ericka dressed in white with angel's wings compared to the lyrics about sinning on the weekend and then praying for forgiveness on Monday. Ericka's live vocal as well deserves flowers because it is so clean. The stability of it is really impressive, and honestly, she doesn't sound that far away from the studio version. She took a 3-minute slice of joy and sung the absolute hell and heaven out of it. We were all better off for having seen this, and I love it. Moving on to 8th, I've gone for Giddy from Albania with her song Okay. Okay. This is one of the first, perhaps more unexpected choices in this list, but I am an absolute absolute sucker for this kind of weird experimental vibe of a song in a 7/8 time signature, or 7/4, depending on how you look at it. This is the brainchild of Beatrice Giddy, who you might better know as Beatrice from Škoda Elektronika. Giddy, meanwhile, is Margherita Schlaku, a student at the Conservatory of Mantua in Italy. This one flew under the radar for a lot of national final season, and I'm actually really quite sad about that, because it's one of the most musically interesting songs of the lot, as well as one of the most challenging to perform. Singing or playing instruments in 7/8 is really, really hard when you're not used to it and you haven't trained your brain to do it. Your brain does not naturally take to that time signature in the way that it might with a natural 3/4 or 4/4 that you hear in a lot of pop music, at least in Western pop music. The trick I learned when being taught how to count 7s and 9s as a kid when I was learning to play the drums was a pretty simple one. Break it down into those more easily understandable amounts. The best way for this song is to count it in 2s and 3s, so like 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. We're going to try this together with the song in the background. So get your hands ready and just clap along with me as I go. The intro of the song will just start over the top and you'll see what I mean. This headphone is going to briefly appear so I can hear the song in my ear and be in time with it. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. You get the idea. While being musically complex, I also find this accessible and almost whimsical in its sound, which is an interesting contrast given that the lyrics clearly illustrate that this is a song about doom scrolling on your phone, especially at night. The core message is essentially, that thing is rotting your brain. Go outside. Touch some grass. It'll do your mental health a whole world of good. And you know what? They're absolutely right about that. I never expected this to win the Albanian national selection or come close to it. Unfortunately, it was always just a bit too weird for that. It is, however, exactly my kind of weird, and it deserves its place on this list. I'd argue it's one of, if not the single most adventurous song of the entire national final season. I really hope that she comes back. I really hope we see more songs in the Albanian national selection written by Beatrice Giddy, and I hope they stay equally bold and interesting in their musical choices. Moving on to number 7 now, that's from Luxembourg, and it's Shirokuro with their song Eye to Eye. This is another one that may surprise some people. Shirokuro flew under the radar in an already underwhelming national selection in Luxembourg, but to be brutally honest, I have absolutely no idea how this not only didn't win, but didn't even make it into the final round. That's when it was easily the best performance of the night, and by far the best song. I will say though that it did take that live performance for me to truly see that. I came into this show not really having a strong favourite, but I didn't have my eyes on this at all. By the time it was done, not just I, but everyone I was watching this with, was really shocked by just how good it was. The vocals were flawless and beautifully executed, the song translated to stage really well, and the band felt like they belonged there. In a show that, respectfully, was mostly made up of amateurs, I really felt this moment of, okay, these are proper professionals. I also have to give a moment to appreciate good taste when I see it. When researching this band, I discovered that the lead singer and I both follow America's 2 greatest exports on Instagram. That's the instrumental prog metal band Arch Echo and football YouTuber and friend of the ESC Gabe YouTube channel, Macwell. As if that wasn't enough, he has a master's from Berkeley, which is widely considered one of, if not the best music college on the planet. Seriously though, these guys are great musicians, and I would love to see them come back again, either for Luxembourg or Belgium, where they're from. This doesn't sound Eurovision at all, and that's all the more reason why the contest needs music like this. Performed to a high standard and delivered to perfection. I'll be keeping an eye on Shirokuro in the years to come, because they were robbed this time and they deserve another shot. Number 6 is next, and that is Clicherik and Max with their song Jolly Roger. This is a more controversial inclusion on this list, and I get it. The live performance for this didn't really come together, made worse by Estilal's really poor mixing and camera shots. That said though, this is my most played song of the last 6 months, by an artist who I've met and interviewed twice during the season, had a whole series of really positive experiences with, and who I've listened to a huge amount over the last few months. If you've been around here for a while, this probably is less surprising. Clicherik and Max are among the biggest and most popular artists in Estonia right now, especially among younger people. And naturally, their inclusion in this this show was met with a lot of hype. Max, in particular, has had a rollercoaster year, releasing music under the name l&auml and breaking all manner of Estonian streaming records in the process. Jolly Roger is a really faithful representation of the kind of music that these guys make. It hammers along at a rate of knots and doesn't let up on the energy at any point. That said though, it's not just a silly banger, it does tell a story. This song is littered with references, whether to the Gulf of Finland itself or the megastar ferry that traverses it from Tallinn to Helsinki, and overall it comes together to create an image parodying the stereotypes that Finns have about Estonians in Finland. A familiar story starts to emerge that isn't just applicable here. Yes, this is about Finnish stereotypes about Estonians, who come to Finland and, in the words of the stereotypes, are disorderly, steal our women and our jobs, and so on and so forth. The thing is, I'd say pretty much every country in Europe has some kind of discriminatory tropes and stereotypes that sound exactly like this about one or more immigrant communities that exist within those countries. In that sense, this song kind of becomes a bit of an anthem for parodying racist stereotypes about immigrants anywhere. And I'm sad that that narrative doesn't get a chance to be presented on the Eurovision stage this year. Done in the right way, I think this could have produced a really amazing moment at the contest. Sadly, the possibility of that did fade away when it got to the l&auml stage. As we saw with Ollie and with other songs in this selection, at the moment, l&auml isn't capable of delivering what is required to make energetic, up-tempo songs truly pop on stage. The last 2 years have been in a much bigger arena than before, and it's natural that there would be some kind of transition period. But we really need to see something more from the selection next year. That's not to absolve Clicherik and Max entirely. I think definitely the staging could have been done differently to the way it was presented, to in turn mitigate some of these issues. But ultimately, this was never quite bound for Eurovision, and sometimes you only see that afterwards. That said, it was easily the biggest hit from the participating songs domestically, so they have that going for them all the same. I don't know whether they're going to come back, but if they do, I will very much be on the wagon with them again. Now we're on to fifth, and that's going to Finland with Kiki, with her song Rakkauden kipe. I didn't want to overload this list with one national final, so I restricted myself a little bit when it came to picking songs from Finland. There were probably 4 or 5 that would have found their way in here otherwise, so consider this an honourable mention to everyone else in the show who wasn't Kiki or the other song that's still coming up. For my money, this is the best song ever to finish last in a selection. This would have been considered a contender for victory in almost every single show everywhere in Europe over the last few months, and it's testament to just how good UMK is that it ended up where it did. Rakkauden kipe is a bombastic pop song, one of the most polished we've seen in this selection in a long time, with a catchy hook and all the high drama that we've come to expect from such things in a Eurovision context. I've said a couple of times this season that this song was a little bit Melodifestivalen, and I don't mean that in a negative way. The pop music peak of Melodifestivalen is really, really high, and I consider this in that class of song. To be honest, ever since I first heard this, I could have imagined Lorraine singing it, and it being in contention to win Eurovision with her behind it. Where the debate hots up about this song is around the live performance. I've seen varying takes on the staging as well as Kiki herself. On the positive end, I've seen people praising the drama of it, the singular focus on Kiki, and the way that the staging plays with the aspect ratio. On the flip side, I've seen people say they were a little disappointed, both with her vocal performance and the fact that she didn't move around more. I even saw some compare the staging setup to a dusty computer fan. This is not my personal view, I quite liked it, but it shows the diversity of opinion on this as well as all things Eurovision. I have a theory about what motivated the performance to be set up in this way. If I had to theorize why the staging is how it is, I'd say it's set up for aura farming, essentially. The thing that it is meant to foreground and drive forwards is Kiki's presence, her deep stares into the camera, and so on and so forth. That explains why everything focuses on her to the total exclusion of everything else. It also explains the dramatic use of wind and confetti effects, the ultra-tight camera shot of her eyes staring into our souls at the end. You get the idea. That is exceptionally difficult to deliver live though. And in my opinion, she did it well in some parts and not in others. The thing is, even with everything not being perfect, the concept of this was still great in my opinion. The song is unbelievable, and had it been in literally any other selection at all, it would have come in the top 3. In many cases, it would have won outright. This was part of a much larger tour de force at UMK this year, but it deserves its place on this list all the same. I'm absolutely convinced that the next song I'm going to put in here is going to cause the live chat during the premiere of this video and the comments down below to explode with rage. So I'm going to remind you now, this video is my opinion. This is a subjective matter. I'm not saying this is objectively the 4th best song to come out of national final season. With that in mind, here's number 4 on the list. That's Brat Pelin from Serbia with his song Fräulein.
Moja Fräulein.
Where would a list of my favourites be without a silly man singing a silly song and doing a silly dance? This was one of my least expected but most welcome surprises, and to be honest, I absolutely adore this. Fräulein is a song about saying no to a woman in a club or similar situation because your wife is at home and you love her very much. The entire song is mostly escalating metaphors about how great she is and how great they are together. Maybe I should put this on my wedding playlist. When I said that, my fiancé in the distance shouted no. To be honest, though I loved this from the very first time I heard it, I expected it to be a disaster live, as it's the kind of thing that just never ever comes together and always ends up a hot mess, or so you'd think. What we got instead was totally the opposite. Even Serbs seemed pleasantly surprised by just how good this was, and Brat Pelin ended up coming second with the public vote. The whole performance is a pastiche of different elements of a Balkan wedding, from the getting ready as he slowly reveals a full suit, to the tables full of food, the shots, hopefully of rakia, the exuberant dancing groomsmen hyping him up, the list goes on. One of the comments under the live performance reads, "Say what you want, but next to this performance, everyone else looks pathetic and miserable." I'm not sure I'd go to that extreme, but what it was absolutely amazing nonetheless. Overall, I have to say I'm feeling a little vindicated. I got cooked pretty badly on the live stream where I first revealed that I loved this song, only for Brat Pelin to show up with one of the funniest and most endearing stagings of the entire national final season and promptly make me feel much better. I can only thank him for it, and I'm going to be watching this for a long time. Putting this any higher would probably cause a riot, so I've decided to limit it to 4th place in this ranking. But I'm never going to apologise again for how much I enjoy this. This was one of the most fun performances in the entire national final season. It's on to the 3rd place now, and that is once again in Finland. Antti P&auml with his song Takatukka. Antti P&auml brought us something that I have long wished for at Eurovision, that being throat singing. I talked at length about this in my video about the songs in UMK back when they were first released, so I'm not going to go into too much detail again now on this point. But I do recommend going back and watching that video after this. Trust me, it's worth it because every single one of the songs in UMK this year were absolutely fantastic, deserve a revisit, and would be well placed on this list. This is living proof that you can combine unhinged and zany with high production value and serious viability for Eurovision, because this isn't just whimsy and fun. It's also a really catchy song. It's accessible despite the wide variety of bizarre facets it has, and it really draws you in. It was so good in the room at UMK, in fact, that for a brief moment during the rehearsal, because it was so well received by the audience, we had a flicker of doubt and a slight wondering whether it could pull the ultimate upset and unseat Linda and Petter at the top of the scoreboard. That didn't come true, obviously. In fact, it wasn't that close either, but it's a testament to just how fun it is. I genuinely think that if this had gone to Eurovision, it would have been an outside shot at winning the public vote. It has that magical something that just makes people laugh and feel so much joy when they see it. And the message carrier in this case is perfect. Antti P&auml fits the stereotype perfectly for this kind of song. The eccentric, mad scientist-style musician with the accordion, crazy hair, doing throat singing, and spinning around on screen while hovering in midair. As one of the top comments under this live performance reads, "I'm not sure any human being has ever enjoyed their job as much as this man here. It's a party, and all of us are invited." That said, there are still 2 more songs I want to highlight, so we're going on to my number 2 for this national final season. That's from Italy, and it's Ditonellapiaga with her song Che Fastidio. Sanremo is a unique beast. I can't really see this song appearing anywhere else. I also can't see it failing to win in many other places either, but the irresistible charm of Sal Da Vinci makes me not as sad about this as I otherwise would have been. I absolutely expect this song to top just about every single fan favourite poll for national final season this year, as Annalisa and others from Sanremo have done in the past. And this will be a cult favourite for years to come. This has a rating of 4.9 out of 5 on Eurovision World from over 3,000 ratings, which is practically unheard of, and hopefully shows you just how universally adored this is. What I actually really want to emphasise here is how relatable the lyrics are, because they encapsulate so much about modern life that frustrates and annoys us. There really is something in here for everyone. Amongst other things, Ditonellapiaga rages against tax returns, dogs at customs, reality TV personalities, unscrupulous journalists, social climbers, everything requiring a premium subscription, the list goes on. It's an extremely relatable dismissal of a wild variety of small to medium annoyances that build up and become more and more bothersome as they go. In a song lambasting a world full of fakes, mirages, and hallucinations, This makes Ditonellapiaga feel authentic and real. And of course, we can dance the frustration away with this song, because musically, everything here is totally sound. It's put together superbly by someone who clearly knows exactly what they are doing. You will struggle to find anything as slick and as professional as this in national final season this year, while still preserving the edge and authenticity needed to keep it appealing. Before we get on to the number one, I have a few honourable mentions that just missed out on this list, some more embarrassing for me than others. So a quick shout out to Hanamai by Marso, Pink Margarita by Catalina Solomak, yeah, I know, Rokt in I Elden by Bronze City Schleckers, yeah, again, I know, Tekam Fall by Ines Naziri, Toot by Monokate, and Doina by Diana. I am also delighted to include a brief list of the best disaster bops this year too, that truly excelled in being simultaneously awful and amazing in a way that few others are capable of. Those are Chaos by Dynamis, Copacabana Boy by Junior Lerin, Pink Margarita by Catalina Solomak, once again, Sweet Tooth by Steve Castile, Rhythm Boy by Lara Baltic, and Last Man Standing by Stockholm Cowboys. With that all out of the way, it's time for my number one. And this year I've gone to Latvia and Kautkaili with their song Te un tagad. For regular followers, this will maybe not be a surprising choice. I do love the Latvian entry to Eurovision this year, but I'm genuinely gutted that this beautiful song won't be there in Vienna and that the whole of Europe won't get to see one of the best stagings I've ever seen in this environment. Before we get to that, this song is just good vibes exemplified. I feel so calmed down by this. It is such a smooth, warm embrace of a song that just makes me feel happy inside. Like some others on this list, this is profoundly un-Eurovision, but it goes to show what the contest is missing and what it really needs. I love the diversity of the contest as is very much, but this quiet moment would have stood out and done so very well in a bombastic surrounding like the one at Eurovision is, especially when the performance was as tight and as beautifully done as this was. That said, the staging really was the star of the show here. I did a full video on Latvia's national selection a few weeks ago where I talked about this at length. So here's a small snippet of that once again to give you an idea of just how good this really was. The performance starts simply with the lead singer's silhouette and then the lone appearance on screen. We get the first wow moment almost immediately though, with two other members of the band sat at a table playing their instruments while reading a newspaper with 10-time Supernova participant Marcus Reaver on it, while the lead singer stands on a pile of books on the table singing the chorus. Reflecting the change that the passage of time brings, the clock on the table is speeding forward at a pace. At a glance, this looks like it must have been achieved with some kind of digital effect, but there is none, just clever camera work. This is done exclusively with physical, real optical illusions. I recognise that calling an illusion real is kind of an oxymoron, and as a result, the simplicity makes it 100 times more effective. I genuinely cannot work out how they made it this convincing. That magic is almost unheard of in modern Eurovision. I cannot remember the last time I looked at a staging and thought, wow, I have no idea how they did that. Into the second verse now, we get another beautifully constructed scene with the band the size of figurines on a shelf alongside a static TV, a metronome, tapes and vinyls. Finally, we move to what is, in my opinion, the showstopper of the performance. We see the entire band stood atop a pile of books on the table, where we started, before they leave the lead singer there for a brief moment. Then she walks forward, sitting down at the table and lifting the top book off of the pile that they were just standing on. There is some blink and you'll miss it trickery here that can be seen if you look at these two scenes side by side, but I'm not going to show you it on screen because, to be honest, it's so clever that I almost don't want to see inside and look at how it's made. You don't ask a magician at a show how they do their tricks. We're used to these huge, impressive stagings at Eurovision with massive props, panini presses, and giant projections that the artist magically clings onto. What a lot of these have in common is their scale. They're huge, expensive showpieces that attempt to, and often succeed, in dominating other participants and the contest at large. What makes this so special is that it couldn't be more different to that. This produces the same wow factor, but through the small things. Through attention to detail, from the spinning clock and the scattering of peanuts across the table as if someone has dropped them there in a hurry, to the ticking of the metronome and the tapes, each with different messages written on them. Every element of this has been pored over and fretted about by people who care about what they are creating. Grand and impressive stagings often end up having a cold, polished feel to them, almost as if they've been overthought and over-refined. This is warm, almost cozy in its genius. It's completely unlike anything I have seen in this competition before, and it deserves to go to Eurovision. Hopefully now you can see why I love this so much. I'm also really grateful to Kautkaili for being so lovely and kind in their response too. And as a result, there's a lot of personal investment in this one for me as well. Overall, I think it's a deserving winner for me on this list. And hopefully it's pretty high up there for some of you as well. With that, we've come to the conclusion of this video and of National Final season. There is still one more video on the subject to come, and that is my yearly ranking of every single national selection overall. We haven't done a tier list for a while, so it's definitely overdue. That'll probably be out in the next week or two, but for now, it's time for me to take my leave. Thank you so much as always for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well if you enjoyed it. I'll see you again as always in a few days' time.